Good evening and welcome to another edition of ANC News. My name is Penny Libiani, and in studio with me this evening is ANC Deputy Secretary General Desi Duarte. Good evening to you, DSG, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Penny, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great stuff. Well, today I know that you spend most of your time in KZN in eThekwini, and we will get into that. Now, tonight, on the show, the DSG will be unpacking how the ANC party selects the best leaders to improve the management of cities, towns and communities. Under the theme of building better communities together, the pledge is to deploy action-orientated women and men who are committed to service delivery. Please note that we'll be taking some of your questions on the My ANC platforms across all social media platforms, and we'll try and also take your questions throughout our conversation. Now, DSG, let me get back to what I mentioned earlier on. I know you spent most of today out in KZN in eThekwini. How are things on the ground?
I think it was very positive. The reception we got was quite tremendous from the community. And we went to a community that has had quite a lot of difficulties in the last couple of months. We spent time in Phoenix, and then we visited a shopping mall. But what I found was that the community is energized to be, and they're asking questions. They want to know what will you do for us. They want to know about the cleanliness of the city. They want to know about the water. Will it be permanent? You know, sometimes the water goes off everywhere. Electricity, those are the issues that they were concerned about. And then over and above that, one very common question was jobs for the youth. The area that we visited is kind of lower middle class as well as working class people. And I think a lot of people are unemployed in that area. And of course, let me go to the elephant in the room. It's the area where there was a horrendous racial attack on people. And we can't excuse that. The fact of the matter is 33 people were killed. 33 were black African and 3 people of Indian descent. And so there's a lot of social cohesion work that we need to do. And a lot of the community elders were agreeing with us, you know, that there needs to be a conversation about letting go of the past. A lot of people are concerned about whether their properties are going to be devalued, if there is a black African community that is established next door, you know, issues like that, the overcrowding in schools and so on. But it was very good to engage at that level.
Okay, so the issues on the ground really are addressed in the manifesto in terms of like what the ANC is trying to do with these elections, issues of electricity, you know, water, and jobs. So the question is, how have you improved the selection process of the candidates who are going to be delivering on those issues for those communities? And the second part of it is these candidates, you know, we're talking of issues of candidates who can be self-serving at times. How are you selecting them this time around to be able to meet those demands that are on the ground?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we took the view that we needed to have the communities participate in the selection of the candidates that will be representing them. Now, we didn't give the communities any criteria other than that they must select the person they think would represent their interests best. But we did indicate that we thought what we needed to do was to have a good mix of young and old, and 50% men, 50% women, and also that what we found, and I must say this has been quite impressive, the communities have selected young graduates in the main, and we met some of them with the president some weeks ago. Very impressive people, young people who have master's degrees and a very high specialities that will really serve the community. So what I take from that is that the communities know who they want. They know what they want. They're also not expecting their councillors to get everything right automatically. What they say to us, we'll work with them. The big thing is community participation. And so whoever is going to be representing people in councils are from the community.
How does that measure up to the quality of leadership that the ANC is trying to bring forth versus the experiences around the questions of candidates that are, as I said, self-serving, who are corrupt, who are really not about the people?
We've learned from our history. We've learned hard lessons, and there have been many mistakes. But there have been also very good people in local government, and I think we mustn't taint everyone with the same brush. However, what we've learned is that the capacity of the state is what really creates difficulties for us when it comes to delivery of services. And long-winded processes towards making decisions for a simple matter like fixing a water pipe. You look for people who know the water systems in a community, and there are many people who work for the councils who are overlooked, and a contractor is brought in from somewhere else who knows nothing about the infrastructure on the ground, and simply because they're somebody's friend. So there's a great deal of change that will take place there. We're also looking, Penny, at the executive authorities that will go into the councils now. So they're being interviewed, and the interviews are strenuous. We've done some. We've interviewed Johannesburg for the mayor that passed away. We interviewed the current mayor that's in Johannesburg. And the issue here is that, let's talk about mayors. We need mayors who have some understanding of how to manage strategically. So it's not just about being a good leader. You must be a good strategic manager. Understand the city very well. Understand not just the municipal finance laws and so on, but actually understand how you develop a city around its best options, what's available to it. People who can work with business and labor and the churches and unemployed people and the homeless, and understand that everybody is in fact a client, and they're not doing you a favor, you are serving them. Self-serving is a very hard thing to test. It will come out as people get into the field. But I think the idea of interviewing people and holding them to the point that you will be accountable to the communities does make a difference.
Okay. So in terms of accountability, they're interviewed, you want to run it like a business, so to say, so that they understand a strategic overview.
It is a 73 billion rand operational expenditure for Joburg.
When there is issues of ill discipline, what is the plan to curb that?
We're not going to be lenient. Let me start there. Over the past years, we've got a very good internal disciplinary mechanism, which means you can't just accuse a person falsely. But what has also happened is that there's been a kind of a softness towards people who do wrong things, and you forgive them many, many times. At that level, if you were the CEO of a multi-billion company, you wouldn't be forgiven many times, and that's how we're looking at it.
So are we looking at one strike you're out because there's been too many mistakes
I
with
think
the ANC?
With new people, I wouldn't say one strike you out. I think you've got to be, we're also a caring organization, but what we're expecting is professionalism. We're expecting delivery. We're expecting hard work. We're expecting people to give the people 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. This is a calling. It's not a career jumping point.
Okay. So in regards to that being a calling and not a career jumping point, there's this tension around people who are vying for those positions, and the change of how you're going about appointing these candidates and mayoral candidates. How are you dealing with those tensions within the party?
They're not easy tensions to deal with, but our view is that if the community did not select you, then they didn't want you. So therefore, you cannot be fighting for that position. Let's start there. Number two, You have to be a councillor to become a candidate for the mayoral position or any of the mayoral positions anyway. So somewhere along the line, the community would have selected you.
People can lobby in the communities for them to be selected. Are there mechanisms to vet that, people are not lobbying people on the ground to actually select them?
No, we haven't. There is no such mechanism. But there's been a vetting system built into the selection process to make sure that people are not, they haven't used audacious amounts of money to get them into the position by virtue of dealing with people. There have been problems. I mean, I'm sure you're aware that in places like Tshwane, women have been warned not to stand as candidates, and they've been bullied. And those are matters we're dealing with right now. We're quite busy on the ground with Tshwane. Hopefully there will be none of those men who have come back into the system. But there is a system parallel to our system, one which is people who own businesses and want to select the councillor that will make sure they get the tenders. That's been an ongoing system. We think we're actually now in the process of undermining that system by having independent community selection. Of course they can lobby, but I would say if one takes 4,860 councils, not everyone is going to lobby. We are confident that over 80% will be fine. Of those that are not fine, we'll deal with them when the time arises.
All right. We've seen an increase of number of women who want to run as candidates as well. And obviously, there's a conversation of 50-50 for mayoral candidates. So one of the questions speaks to that, and that's from Khotso_Maja on Twitter. Yes. While you say you want to select the most capable and committed representatives, how are you managing this gender balance in the process? Making sure that we're not just putting women there to meet the quota, but these women are qualified for the position, fit for purpose.
That's a very male question, and it's a very gender-biased question. Why doesn't he ask the same question about the men that we are selecting? Of course the women would be competent people. Of course they'd be people who the community have selected because they know that those women, like the men he likes, Mr. Maja likes, would also serve the community in the same way. It's a very odd question. No one ever asks men if they're capable. The assumption is you're born capable as a man. Women in our country are extremely capable. And if I may say so, and be somewhat biased, sometimes much more capable than some of the men that people glorify. So it's a question of the community selecting the best person for them.
Okay. Now, they're also asking to clarify the process of the mayoral candidate. Exactly, can you break it down? Sure. What does it involve?
It's quite a big job. So the NEC will interview all mayoral candidates. We will have panels of 5 people. One will be from civil society and not a member of the National Executive Committee. And then the provincial chair and secretary or 2 other PEC members. We've set up 25 panels already to interview right across the board. What happens is the regions will provide 3 names. Those names go to the PEC, they discuss them. And then the PEC alerts us that we've now got 3 names for, let's say, Capricorn municipality. The panel for Capricorn will interview all 3 of those people. And the person who scores the highest points out of identical questions that every candidate will be asked is probably the one that will be provided with the opportunity to get the job. So it's a proper professional process. The questions are quite tough. They all have to have somehow some knowledge about finances, but more importantly, be people persons.
Will it be public or a private process?
It will be a private process. We're not going to make this public, no.
Okay. Now, making municipalities financially viable is key to service delivery. And, the question is, how is the ANC responding to the increasing demands around municipal services?
Well, we have decided that our important thing to do this time around is to provide services. But viability also comes at a cost for the user. And unfortunately, we have to also say to people, you've got to pay for the services that you use. So if you want reliable electricity, we have to pay Eskom. If you want reliable water, apart from the free upload that the indigent people get, we all have to pay for the water services and the waste services and the sewage services that we receive. Municipalities become unviable because clients are also not paying. But at the same time, there is wastage. We've also agreed that there must be insourcing, and municipalities should stop buying services from outside contractors when they've got people within the municipality who can do the job, or expand the municipality's employment base to have people working permanently and doing that work. So all of the unreliable elements have been really analyzed very well. What causes unreliability? It's caused by the factors would be a manager who doesn't know what to do. It's caused by the factor of non-available parts and processes. It's a number of things. So the 20% local content, not in terms of people owning 20% of a company, but the 20% of service deliverable matters has to happen. It must, local manufacturing must take course. So it's not just one stream system. It's very, very dynamic.
All right. So as we're about to wrap up, because data is an issue in our country.
Yes.
So when you reflect on the past decades of the ANC's track record, according to you, I mean, what has been the highlights of the party's success, and why should people vote for the ANC?
When it comes to basic services, we have been successful. What people look at is where there is no success. But a developing country like ours has had the ability to give our people, 83% of our people have running water. We've given 74% of our people electricity. We've built over 4 million houses. No one else in the world does that. There has been a proper local government experience. But look at it from another point of view. I spoke to a woman today who says, I am the recipient of everything from the ANC. I live in an RDP house. My 2 children went to fee-free schools. My son is a technicon. My daughter is at university, and they both get NSFAS grants. We forget those kinds of things, which are very important in a developing country. Over and above that, we inherited a broken economy in 1994. It looked good on paper. But if you think about the advances that we've made in science as well in this country, it would not have happened if it wasn't the ANC. I'm saying that unashamedly. We've also been able to provide somewhat of an adequate healthcare system. It's not perfect, but it does work. And COVID has shown that we are capable of, in fact, looking after our people in that regard. I mean, I could go on, and you're going to say fact check, and I'll say, I invite you to do so. The reality is that when it comes to basic services, we have delivered. We can do better, and we must do better. And that's our promise. Okay,
as we wrap up, according to you, DSG, what quality of a leader you're looking for in these candidates? What should the leaders be thinking about who want to be in these positions going forward for the ANC?
The people first?
Yeah.
They must think about the people every day first. They must think, secondly, about making sure that they understand that they are a servant of the people, that no one owes them anything, that they're there to serve the people and nothing beyond that they must be honest, that they mustn't attempt to try to enrich themselves in the process of leading or enrich their friends and their families. They must do the work. We're looking for people with integrity and credibility. Credibility in the community where they come from, and they must build broader credibility if they're the mayor of, for instance, the mayor of Johannesburg. Serves millions of people. We all need to know that that is our mayor.
Okay. Now, young people who are saying, I'm not going to vote or I'm voting for the first time,
Yes.
your direct message to them?
They must vote. If you don't use your voice and you don't put yourself forward to make that decision about using your voice, whichever way you go, I hope you go with the ANC, you are in fact letting the country down. We have so many young people who are community councillors now, and they deserve the vote of their peers. You know, imagine the 2 young women I stood with today. If the young people don't vote for them, and the older people look at them and say they're too young, what's going to happen? So it's a hen and an egg situation. Young people, please go out there and vote. This is your country. This is your future. And if you want it to be better as we do, then you must vote for it to be better.
Thank you so much for spending time with us, DSG. And well, we hope the young people will show up come November 1st and vote for candidates who will represent, serve and deliver for the services that they want to see the ANC delivering. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it. That's our interview for tonight. And of course, we can't go beyond 20 minutes because data is a thing. Join us again next week on our social media platforms as well, My ANC, and right here on ANC News. I'm Penny Liviani. Until next week, good night.